My name is Catherine May Fraser Haas, and I emigrated from England to my aunt here in Tacoma. I was born in 1942 in Chatham, which was a naval-based town in southeast England, and I was born during a Nazi air raid. The Nazis were always, it was a place where they built submarines and repaired ships, and so the Nazis were constantly trying to get at it. But the anti-aircraft guns kept them flying very high, so most of their bombs fell in the Romney marshes because they couldn't specifically target the naval base very well. My father was in the Navy, and actually, when I was born, he was in the he was out by that time. He had been on a boat in the Channel, and he was below decks, had his Sunday breakfast, and the vibrations from his ship released a Nazi mine, which was secured to the seabed in the Channel. It came up and it literally blew the ship in two, and he was the only man below decks to survive. And the reason he survived was there were other ships in the Channel, and they saw him where he landed, and they managed to get to him and fished him out. But he was in the Naval Hospital in Chatham for 9 months, and fractured skull and you name it. But he was 28, so he was young, and he managed to recover. Never complained after that. I had met my mother's sister, my Auntie Winnie, in Scotland, because both my parents were from Scotland, and they had come down to London, and then they had, with the war, that changed everybody's lives, and that's where we ended up in Chatham, or they ended up in Chatham. And I had visited my Auntie Winnie in Scotland, and she had always said, "You must come see me one day." So I had been at school in Chatham, at what we call Chatham Grammar Chatham County Grammar School for Girls. And that was, at that time, girls' and boys' schools were separate. And it was the kind of school that you went to where you studied for what they call their O levels and the A levels. And once you got your A levels, you could go to university. And I applied to Reading University in England and was accepted and was going to major in French because I speak French and German fluently to this day. I said to my parents, "Oh, I have been accepted and I have a scholarship, and will you help me out?" And they said, "No, you'll have to get a job to put some extra money in your pocket." And I thought, no, this is the university. I'm not going to do that. I mean, I was 18. What did I, know? So I thought, that's it. I'm going to go visit my Auntie Winnie for a year, figure out what I'm going to do, and then come back. When I came here, she was in her 60s. She was my mother's older sister, and she and my mother and the others all ended up in an orphanage because my grandmother, after baby 8, my aunt was number 4, my mother was number 5. No contraception at that time, so just one baby after another. She died of TB. My other grandmother died of TB. That was a very common thing at that time. She died in 1926. No, she died in 1913. She was older. I had said to the American consulate when I went there, I want to go visit my aunt in Tacoma, Washington, but I need to work while I'm there because I can't just sit around. So they said, well, you'll need a green card. So I had to go through the whole process of obtaining a green card. And then I had been working part-time during the summer. I had enough money, paid for my one-way ticket on Pan Am, an airline that no longer exists but was very famous at the time, and flew directly, believe it or not, from London to Tacoma. I was supposed to land at SeaTac, and it was fogged in, so they said, it was October of 1960. So they said, we have to fly on to Portland. I remember saying to the airline stewardess, oh, what am I going to do? I don't have any money to get back from Portland to SeaTac. And she said, oh, you don't have to worry. We'll take care of that. The airline will do that. And so my official entry into this country was in Portland, Oregon in October 18th, October 19th, actually, 1960. And then we all got on a Greyhound bus. And at that time, there was no freeway. And the Greyhound bus driver drove up along what was Old 99, which currently is South Tacoma Way. And at 38, on the corner of 38th and South Tacoma Way, he said, right, you get off here. So I said, oh. So they unloaded my luggage, left me on the corner. And I thought, well, there's nothing here. What am I supposed to do? This isn't a bus station. So I walked over to a business which was right there and said it was some sort of mechanical business. And I said to the man, how do I get to 3834 North 7th? And he said, no speak English. Polish. He was Polish. So I tried my German, I tried my French. He didn't speak any of those. I thought, oh, great. So across the street was a tire place, and I crossed over and I said, may I use your phone, please? And they said yes. And then I looked my aunt's number up in the phone book and called her, and I said, I'm here. And she said, well, where the heck are you? Because Lawrence is down, that was my cousin, at the bus station waiting for you. And I said, well, the bus driver dropped me off here. It's not a bus station. She said, well, where is here? And I said, 38th and South Tacoma Way. And she said, 38th and South Tacoma Way? Why did he drop you off there? That's in the middle of nowhere. I said, I know. So she said, wait there and your cousin will come. And he did. He came and picked me up. My uncle, my aunt's husband, was very involved in the soccer. The European soccer. There were Italian teams, Hungarian teams, Greek teams, German teams, you name it. And they had some local teams here in Tacoma. Most of them were in Seattle. And but he didn't drive. And so one evening, Henry's father gave him a ride home to our house. And he said, oh, you should come in and speak to my niece. You can speak to her in German. So he came in and he was introduced to me, and we just chatted away in German. And he went home to Henry's mother and said, I found a girl for Henry. And she said, no, let Henry find his own girls. So, but that changed. I was invited to a number of soccer parties at their house, which included a lot of Germans and Brits and whatever else. And then at one point, my future mother-in-law, unbeknown to me, called me up and said, we're going to Green Lake in Seattle to a soccer game on Sunday. Would you like to come? I said, oh, yes, that would be lovely. Thank you. Because I know my uncle watched American football, and I thought it was just, at that point in time, a very stupid game. It just stopped and started and stopped and started, and people fell down. And, it wasn't anything like soccer, which has many Americans didn't know this, has a great skill to it in how you manage the ball and how you make your way down the field. There's a lot of strategy. So we went to Seattle. We went to the game. I love watching the game. There was a skillful group, and at halftime, we went into the car and we were eating salami sandwiches. And she said, "My son's coming," and I said, "Oh." And I had seen his picture on the wall in their house, and there was this young kid with a big head of hair, and I thought, they send him to a boarding school? What is it? And so I said, "Oh, you said he goes to school up here?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "Well, what kind of school does he go to?" And she said, "Law school." And I thought, oh, that's strange, because in England you wouldn't say that. You would say, oh, he's at the university reading law. But here, the school was used for everything. So then he came, And then we talked a little bit, and I wasn't the least bit impressed with him. And on the Wednesday evening, my uncle said, oh, there's a phone call for you. And I said, oh. And so I went to the phone, and it was Henry. And he said, I'm coming to Tacoma this weekend. Would you like to go out for dinner? And I said, oh, well, that would be nice. Thank you. And so 3 weekends in a row, he came down, and that on that third weekend, I remember he said, we're going to have dinner at my parents' house. And I said, oh, that would be nice, because I enjoyed his parents. And while we were sitting at the table, his mother said to me, I'm so glad Henry met you. He's coming home every weekend now. But she hadn't been doing before he married. So shortly after that, I realized he's the man I'm going to marry. We clicked. He was very European. I was still very European in my sense of, I connected way more with him than I did American boys or men. And so I always remember when my parents came when we were going to get married, because I said to him, I will not get married until my parents can be here. So my parents, they got green cards and they came here, but I picked them up in Vancouver, BC. We drove down, we went to dinner at his parents' house, and they got to meet Henry. My dad is a true British man. We came out and we were going to get in the car. I was going to drive, and my dad said, Kate? I said, yes. He goes, you got the thumbs up, Henry. We went to Steve's Gay 90s when we got engaged. And Steve's Gay 90s was on 54th and South Tacoma Way. It was a restaurant, and it had also a bar, and it had a band, and it was a very popular place to go. And as soon as the band people saw his parents, his father, specifically sitting in the crowd, they said, John, you have to come up and sing. And he had a great voice. And he said, right. So he came up, and the band leader said, and what are you going to sing? And he said, I'm going to sing My Blue Heaven in Japanese. And everybody cheered. And he started singing. And I turned to Henry and said, that really does sound like Japanese. And Henry said, it is Japanese. And I said, how does he know how to sing Japanese? He said, it's a long story. I'll tell you one day. I was very big into volunteering. And my mother, who had lost her mother when she was 5.5 and ended up in an orphanage, was very, very big on contraception. So I remember I was volunteering on the Public Health Advisory Board, that's Pierce County Advisory Board, for family planning. And I remember that there was $250,000 that became available in 1970, federal dollars, for family planning in Pierce County. And the director of the family planning unit got us together and said, well, the county commissioners, there were 3 of them at that time, George Sheridan, Dr. McNutt, and one other person, I can't remember who, have said they will not accept the $250,000. Now, that was an awful lot of money in 1970. And we said, well, why in the world won't they accept it? And he said, because the federal language says you have to serve women regardless of age. And I always remember one lady on our group said, well, I mean, there you go. That means we would just be encouraging teenage sex. And I said, well, you know something? I don't think we can go around monitoring people's morals or what they do. But what we can do is if these young people are involved in sex, at least the young women can avail themselves of contraceptives so they don't inadvertently become pregnant. And so we said, well, what's the alternative to this? Well, we had a second meeting where a guy came up from Planned Parenthood, the National Planned Parenthood. He flew up from from San Francisco, and he said, if you want to start a Planned Parenthood here in Pierce County, then I can help you with that. And I said, what do we need to do? And he said, well, you need to put together articles of incorporation, so we'll need a lawyer for that. And I said, that's not a problem. My husband's a lawyer. He'll do that. And so he said, oh, okay. And so then he went to Henry's office and said to Henry, will you draft the articles of incorporation? And Henry said, yes. And he said, well, we're going to need somebody to chair. We've got to put together a board, so we need somebody to chair the board. He said, I have just the person for you. Her name is Kate HAAS. So I ended up chairing the Planned Parenthood board, and we had a medical advisory committee. And I always remember on that medical advisory committee, there were two local doctors. One was Dudley Houts, who was a general practitioner in the North End. And the other one was Fred Haley, who was a surgeon of the Brown and Haley family. And the only other doctors we could get on there at that time were the OBGYNs working out at JBLM, Fort Lewis, Madigan. And so we had B. Miller, Dave B. Miller, and Tupper Moorhead, and Wayne Curl. And I think there was one other one. Anyway, those young guys came in and said, yeah, I mean, this is fine. So they came to the medical advisory committee meetings. And I'm not a morning person, but they used to have meetings at 7 a.m. So as the board president, I felt I should attend them. And it always stunned me. I would walk in the door, and here would be these guys chatting away like it was the middle of the afternoon. I would be like, oh, how do they do this? But at that time, doctors used to do their rounds at the hospitals in the mornings. So that was their lifestyle. I became involved with Tacoma Actors Guild, which was a professional equity theater here in Tacoma, and it was founded by Bill Beckvar, who was the professor of theater at PLU, and Rick Tudor, who was the professor of theater at UPS. And they felt that, especially since Seattle had so many equity theaters, that there should be one in Tacoma because they could bring equity actors down. So I was on the board. I got on the board in 1983. And in 1986, the board decided to let the managing director of that time, Lee, to go, and asked me to step in. And so I did. And I always remember this. One of the first things I did, since I was familiar with the staff, was I talked to the company manager who was familiar with the equity union. And I said, your budget, you're very good at numbers. So I said, this budget is killing you because when you put actors on the stage, you have to pay, the first 5 have to be equity and you have to pay a lot of money. So we have to change the formula. And she said, oh, good luck with that. That's not going to happen. And I said, watch me. I'm going to call the guy in Los Angeles, and I'll tell you, he's not going to kill the goose that lays the golden egg. So she said, well, good luck. So I got on the phone with the guy, and he said, no, you can't change your contract. I said, well, then you can just watch this theater go down the drain because we don't have the flexibility that we need. It's very popular, but we can't keep up paying these kinds of rates. And we'd have to increase our ticket prices, and we would drive away subscribers and single ticket people. So he ended up what we ended up doing was we had the first two were equity, the next two were non-equity, then there was the third equity, and then after that it could be either equity or non-equity. And as a result of that, that modified the budget. And I had said to him at one point, if we were in a financially stable situation, then and we managed to increase our subscribers and our single ticket buyers, then we can. And the director for a certain play wants all equity. We're in a position to hire all equity people. We don't have to stick to your formula, but we need a basic formula, and then we can adapt it as we go on. So he agreed to that, and I worked there from 1983 to 1996 and had the time of my life. Just wonderful, wonderful people, hardworking. It's a crazy business, but I loved it. Tacoma Actors Guild was in the old St. Leo's School on around 15th and Yakima Avenue. And below us was the food bank, and it was a kitchen. But what happened with a lot of that was there was a lot of drug stuff going on. So one day we came in and we found all these needles, and I got a manila envelope and I put all the needles in the manila envelope, and I went down to the city the city building, and Erling Mork was the managing director. And I said, and I knew him. And so I said, Erling, I want to show you something. And he said, what? And I dumped all of this stuff out on his desk. And he said, oh my God, what? And I said, this is what's going on around Tacoma Actors Guild and up at there. And we've got to get out of there. And the outcome of all of that was that we ended up, and the city put money in on this. We worked with the theater designers, and the artistic director, Bruce Seavey, and I worked with them to design the current theater, which is down there on 9th and Broadway. So there was the Pantages, and then there was the Yellow Theater, which is, I call it yellow because we had the yellow paint on the outside. When people met me, they started to tell me about how their families came here. They came from Poland. They came from Czechoslovakia. They came from Germany. They came from France. They came from Italy. Oh, and my grandpa came from Greece. And so it was part of everybody's background. It was very, very interesting to see that. You don't become a citizen right away. You have a green card, and after 5 years, you can apply for citizenship. And I did not apply for citizenship until I'd been here for 9 years. And the reason I applied was by the 9 years in, I had 2 small children. And my husband, Henry, had said to me, you really should become a citizen. And I said, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. I have to abjure allegiance to a monarch. And he said, oh, my God. Okay, fine. Well, finally he said, okay, if something were to happen to me, would you go back to England? And I said, of course not. I would stay here. My children are American. He said, so what's stopping you becoming a citizen? I said, fair enough. So I've been a citizen since 1969. I think it's important to be able to share these sorts of stories with the community to remind them that this is a country of immigrants. And we all come here with different experiences, but we've come from countries that had different political structures. And here, this is a country with a tremendous, wonderful freedoms for people. What I would say to immigrants today is relax. You're in a country that is full of immigrants or former families that had immigrants. And it's important to learn about the community you've come to. So go to in the summertime, we have lots of events. We have farmers markets. We have we have a special event at the Point Defiance. There's just all sorts of things going on. It's really important to get to know the community, because in that way you meet other people. And as Americans, they just talk to anybody that comes along most of the time. And you get chatting to people, and that's how you get integrated into the community.